So we're on lesson 1-3, again working with place value. So here's our first question we're going to go over to see if you understand what the video is talking about. It says, which place do you use to compare the numbers 60,618 with 60,647? Well, remember, I always want to start with the largest place value and see if they're the same. So here my largest place value is the 10,000s, but notice how it's the same. So then I go to the next largest place value, which is the thousands, and they're still the same. So one more time I go to my next largest, which is the hundreds, still the same. But now when I go to the tens place value, notice how they're not the same. So I can use the tens place value to compare. So which place do you use to compare the numbers? We use the tens place. An easy way to also see is if I stack these numbers on top of each other, I can easily look and see which one has the different place value. They're all the same until I get to those tens, so I know those tens are going to be my comparison place value. Let's head to our next one for us now. Morocco, which is a country in Africa, has a total area of 442,300 square kilometers. Uzbekistan, which is in Asia, has a total area of 447,400 square kilometers. Use the greater than, less than, or equal to sign. So it's asking me to use one of these to compare the two areas. So first, let's rewrite these two areas. I have 442,300, and I'm comparing it to 447,400. And I need to see which one is larger. Well, for ease sake, I'm just going to write it right underneath, and I'm going to look to see which place value is the biggest, and then I'm going to keep going until I see they change. So my largest is the 100,000s, but they're the same. Then I have 10,000s, they're the same. But look, when I get to the regular thousands, they're different numbers. So now I can look and think, which one is bigger? Well, 7 is bigger than 2, so that means it's going to be a less than sign. Remember from second grade, if you had Ms. Jandrews, she talked about that alligator mouth and how that alligator mouth wants to eat the larger one. So how do I compare them? Well, I write them like this. That 7,000 is bigger than the 2,000. So we say 442,300 is less than 447,400. Okay, this next one is asking us to compare using greater than, equal to, or less than. So let's check. Same place values for thousands, same for the hundreds, same for the tens, same for the ones. So that means they're equal to. They're the exact same number. Let's look at our next one now. We have the same in the 10,000s, but now my regular thousands are different. So which one is bigger? Well, I know that 4 is bigger than 2, so 4,000 is bigger than 2,000, which means it's a less than sign. The number on the right is larger. Okay, let's head to our next one. Start with the largest place values. Here we're 100,000s and 100,000s. Well, I know 2 is bigger than 1, so 200,000 would have to be bigger than 100,000, which means it's a greater than sign. Let's head to this next one. The 10,000s are the same. The thousands are the same. 400 is the same as 400. 6 is the same as 6. And 7 ones is the same as 7 ones. So they're the exact same number, which means they're equal to. Now for this one, let's check. I'm actually going to make a mistake, so I want to see if you can figure it out. I have 1 is bigger than 1. 9 is bigger than 9. 2 is bigger than 2. 1 is bigger, or 1 is the same as 1. But there's a problem here. I actually wasn't comparing the place values. Because remember, I want to compare the biggest place value. So what place value is this? This is 10,000. And is there a 10,000 over here? No, this one's a 1,000. So my 10,000 is actually right here. And what number would have to be there? Well, if there's nothing there, that's actually a 0. So now let's see, what's bigger? 1 or 0? Well, we know 1's bigger, so that means this number has to be larger. A reason why I like writing them on top of each other, why I like stacking them, is it's really easy to see. Look at this right here. If I stack them on top, it's really easy for me to see that there's nothing in this spot right here, which means the top number has to be larger. Let's head to our next one now. It's the same thing. We're just filling in those blanks. So for these ones, I'm just going to write them on top and stack them so we can compare. These are the same place values. These are the same numbers, the same place values. But if I look here, this 8 is bigger than 7. 800 is bigger than 700, which means it's a greater than sign. All right, heading to our next one. Which one is larger? So I'm going to, for this one, remember I said I was going to stack them all on top so I can compare. 100,000s are the same. 10,000s are the same. 1,000s are the same. 700 is the same as 700. 0 is the same as 0. 6 ones is the same as 6 ones, which means these are equal to. Now let's head over to number 10. Again, I'm going to stack them just because that's easier for me. And now let's see. 2,000, well, there's no number here. So remember, if there's no number, that's the same as 0, as nothing. So what's bigger, a 2 or a 0? Well, I know a 2 is bigger, which means this is a greater than. 20,000 is bigger than 0 10,000s. Heading off to number 11. There's a whole bunch of 9s here, but look what happens when I stack them. 1, 2, 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3 zeros. And now we can look at the actual place value and we notice something. We have 1 million, but do we have any millions in this spot? No. So if there's no millions, that's a 0, remember? So now what's bigger? 1 million or 999,999? It's that 1 million because it has a 1 in the biggest place value. My next one, I'm going to stack them up. 78,425. And remember, I always start with that biggest place value. So what do I have here? I have a 6 in the biggest place value. I have a 7 in that biggest place value. What's bigger? Well, 7 is a bigger place value, so that means I'm going to use that less than symbol. My last one. Again, I'm going to stack them up, and I look at that biggest place value. Well, my biggest place value is the 10,000s, but notice in the 10,000s, there's not a number here. So if there's no number, what is it? That's right, it's a 0. So now what's bigger? 5 10,000s or 0 10,000s? I know 5 10,000s would be bigger, so I'm going to put a greater than sign in. All right, let's head on to our next one. It says, write which place value to use when comparing the numbers. So I'm going to write the biggest place value where there's a change or a difference. So just remember, this is a 100,000. This was a 10,000. This is a regular 1,000. Then we have hundreds, tens, and ones. So I'm looking for the biggest place value where there's a change. Well, my 100,000s are the same, but notice when I get to my 10,000s, it's my biggest place value where they're different numbers. So I'm going to write 10,000. That is my place value that I'm using to compare. It's not asking me to compare them. It just wants to know what place value I'd look at. Here, thousands are the same. My hundreds are the same number. The tens are the same number. But notice, my ones are different. 6 is not the same as 4. So what place value do I use? I use the ones place value. Heading off number 16. My 10,000s are the same. My thousands are the same. But now my next place value is the hundreds. So that's my biggest place value that is different. Remember, I always start on the left and I work to the right till I find a number that's different. So I start on the left, which is my 10,000s, but they're the same, so now I work to the right. 2 is not the same as 1, so what place value are these guys in? These are in my thousands place value. So what place value do I compare? I compare using the thousands place value. Heading off to number 18 now. Remember, I start on the left because that's my biggest place value, and notice 8 is not the same as 7. So I don't have to look at any more numbers. All I need to know is what this place value is. This place value is in my 100,000s. So we've finished this part, so now we're going to head to the next page. So this is a two-parter. We have to use these questions, but we also have to use this data over here. So which genres, let's type of books, at Danny's Books did not sell better than science? So we're looking for the ones that just aren't as popular. So we have to look at science, and notice science, they sold 41,843, and we're looking for the ones that are smaller. They didn't sell as many. So let's check. So I'm going to start with the place value, and I'm going to compare. We're looking for the smaller ones. So let's see, 4 is the same as 4. 8 is not the same as 1, but since 8 is bigger, that means this sold more, and I'm looking for the ones that sold less. So it's not going to be fiction. Now let's go to fantasy. 4 is the same as 4. 2 is not the same as 1. So I'm using that thousands place value, but since this one sold more, I'm going to cross it out because I'm looking for the ones that are less. Now here's our next one. 4 is the same as 4. 1 is the same as 1. 8 is the same as 8. 4 is not the same as 3. This is my bigger number because it has a 4 instead of a 3. So that means one of them is biography. Now let's check our last one. And the tens place value is a 4. The tens place value, or the 10,000s place value is a 1, which means science sold more. This sold less. This is smaller. So what are my two genres? They're biography and humor. And so now question number 20 is the exact opposite. It's saying which genre sold better? Which one sold more? Well, it's the two that we crossed out because remember we said we crossed them out because they sold more. So it is these two, fantasy and fiction. Excellent job, guys. Now, our next one, though, is we have to make sure we read it carefully because it's saying sold more than biography, not the science that we were looking at. So there's actually one more we have to add. What else sold better than biography? Well, is that science, remember, because that 4 is larger.
They're fresh.
Perfect. So now on to 21. Celia bought 3 bags of 4 hamburger buns and 3 bags of 8 hot dog buns. How many hamburger and hot dog buns did she buy? Well, it's saying she bought 3 bags, so I'm going to start with the model or picture. So there's 1 bag. I'm using a tape diagram. 2 bags, 3 bags. And how many are in? Well, there's 4 in each. 4, 4, 4. So what is that? Well, that's 12. 4 plus 4 plus 4, or 4 times 3 is 12. And it then told me she bought 3 bags of 8 hot dogs. So I'm going to use green for this one. She again bought 3 bags, 1, 2, 3 bags. And how many hot dogs were in each? Well, it says 8. So 8 hot dog buns in each. So that is 8 plus 8 plus 8, which is the same as 8 times 3, which is 24. So my question now is, how many hot dog and hamburger buns did she buy? Well, we bought 12 hamburgers. We bought 24 hot dogs. So we need to add them up to find the total. She bought 36 buns. 36 total. Now off to number 22. Write 3 numbers for which we'd use the hundreds place to compare 35,712. Well, if it's asking us to compare the hundreds place, that means the other numbers to the left have to be the same because this is going to be my one that I'm comparing to, which means they're all going to be 35,000. And now it doesn't tell me if they want to be bigger or smaller, so I just need a number that is different than 7. So I'm going to put maybe a 5 because that's not the same. I'm going to put a 6, and I'm going to put a 9. So all those are using the hundreds place value. And now it doesn't really matter what I put for the other digits because I'm going to stop comparing as soon as I get to that hundreds place value. So let's look one more time. Hundreds place value I'm using to compare to that original number, 35,712. Number 23 now. The Illinoian stage began about 300,000 years ago. The Wolstonian stage began about 352,000 years ago. Compare 300,000 to 352. So whenever I see this word compare, it wants me to use greater than, less than, or equal to. So let's compare these two. I like stacking them on top of each other, but if you can do it in your head, that's okay too. Which one is bigger? Well, I start with the largest place value, 100,000s, but they're the same. So I go to the next place value, 10,000s, and I see there's a different number, which means this one is larger. All right, so how do I write this now using these symbols? Well, it's going to be 300,000 is less than, because remember that alligator mouth wants to eat the larger number, 352,000. On to number 24 now. An orchard in Maine has 5,287 apple trees. An orchard in Vermont has 5,729 trees. Use greater than, less than, or equal to compare those two numbers. Well, since these are so close to each other, I'm not going to rewrite them. I'm just going to mark on my paper. So my largest place value is the thousands, but they're the same in the thousands. So now I go to my hundreds place value, and notice my hundreds place value are different. So that's going to be the numbers I'm going to look at. So let me write my numbers down. And then I need to figure out which symbol I use. Well, this one is larger because 7 is larger than 2. So I want the less than symbol. That alligator mouth is eating the larger number. Heading off to our next one, number 25. In 2010, the population of Alaska was 710,231. Write this number in expanded form and write the number name. So remember, expanded, I'm breaking up into its place values. So my first place value is 700,000. So I'm going to put 700,000 plus my next place value is 1, but it's not just 1, it's 1 in the 10,000 spot. So it's 10,000 plus, there's nothing in the 1,000 spot, so I leave that alone, plus there's a 2 in the 100 spot, so that's 200, plus there's a 3 in the 10 spot, which is 30, plus my last one is 1. So there's my expanded form, but I'm not quite finished with it because it's asking me to do another thing as well. It's asking me to write the number name. So it wants me to write this out. So I'm going to write out this big, gigantic number. It's 710,000 because I'm in my 1,000 period. Remember, each of those commas is a group. 710,231. All right, we have just 3 more problems. So our next one, explain how you know 437,160 is greater than 43,716. Well, what I'm going to do is I look at the largest place value and I compare. And I notice there's a 100,000 here, but there's no 100,000 here. So that's one way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write this for my answer. I can look at the number of digits in each. The number with more digits is always my greatest number. And how do I know that? Well, because this has 6 place values, which means it has to be in the 100,000s. This has 5 place values, which means the biggest number it can be is the what? The 10,000s. Now, there is an exception to this that we're going to get to when you're in 5th grade, but for 4th grade, this is what we know. More numbers or more digits means a bigger number because it has more place values. Okay, our next one says, draw a line to show the place value you used to compare. Well, here is thousands, because that's my biggest place value. That's different, so I'm going to connect it to thousands. My next one, 10,000s are the same, thousands are the same, but my hundreds are different. So where's my hundreds? Right above. My next one, hundreds are the same, tens are the same, but my ones place value are different. So I match that up, and now I'm left with this. It says 10,000, so let's check. Yeah, my 10,000s is that biggest place value where it's different. That's it. Good job, guys.